This is the 3D VIEW-MASTER classic fairy tale Alice in Wonderland. VIEW-MASTER Reel 1, The White Rabbit, Picture 1. Alice was not surprised when a white rabbit ran by where she was sitting, or even when it said, "Oh dear, I shall be too late." But she had never seen a rabbit take a watch out of a waistcoat pocket as this one did now. Picture 2. Burning with curiosity, she followed it down a large rabbit hole and fell down what seemed to be a deep well. As she fell, she could see cupboards, bookshelves, maps and pictures on the walls. Just as she was thinking that after this she would think nothing of tumbling downstairs, she landed thump upon a pile of leaves quite unhurt. Picture 3. Alice followed the white rabbit around a corner of a long passage, but it was gone and she was in a long hall with locked doors all around. On a little table she found a tiny golden key that fitted a door 15 inches high. She opened it and looked into a beautiful garden, but she could not even get her head through the doorway. Finding a little bottle labeled "Drink Me," Alice did so. Immediately she shut up like a telescope. Joyfully she hurried to the door, but found she had forgotten the key. She tired herself out trying to climb the table legs, and then she sat down and cried. Picture 4. Finally, Alice stopped crying and spied a little glass box under the table containing a cake labeled "Eat Me." Curiosa and curiosa, she cried, for now she was opening up like the largest telescope ever. Happily, she grabbed up the key and went back to the door. Poor Alice! It was all she could do to see into the garden with one eye. Just then the white rabbit returned carrying a pair of white gloves and a large fan. When Alice spoke, the rabbit dropped everything and scurried away. Alice picked up the gloves and fan and started fanning herself. She began shrinking rapidly and stopped fanning just in time to keep from shrinking all away to altogether. Picture 5. Alice started after the rabbit. Soon she met it trotting toward her, looking about it as it went. The rabbit saw her and said angrily, "Why, Mary Ann, what are you doing here? Run home and fetch me a pair of gloves and a fan." Alice was so frightened she ran off and soon came upon the rabbit's house. In an upstairs room she found 2 or 3 pairs of white gloves, a fan and a little bottle. It had no label, but she began to drink it. She began to grow larger. She dropped the bottle, but kept on growing. Soon she had to put one arm out the window and one foot up the chimney. Picture 6. The rabbit came and tried to open the door, but Alice's elbow was against it, and she heard the rabbit say to itself, "I'll go around and get in the window." "That you won't," thought Alice. She spread out her hand and made a snatch in the air. She didn't catch anything, but there was a shriek and a fall and a sound of broken glass, as if someone had fallen into a cucumber frame. Then it was quiet. Picture 7. A little later came the sound of many voices. The rabbit ordered an animal named Bill to go down the chimney. Alice drew her foot as far down as it would go and waited until she heard Bill just above it. Then gave a good kick. "Catch, Bill!" "You by the hedge," she heard the rabbit shout. "Hold his head up there. Give him brandy." Next a shower of little pebbles rattled in the window. When they turned into cakes, she swallowed one. Alice began shrinking rapidly. She ran out of the house, only to be chased by the crowd of animals outside, but she ran as hard as she could and was safe in a thick VIEW-MASTER Reel 2, The Mad Tea Party, Picture 1. As Alice rested, she noticed a large mushroom and stretched herself on tiptoe to peep over the edge. Her eyes met those of a large blue caterpillar. "Who are you?" asked the caterpillar sleepily. "I hardly know, sir," Alice said shyly. "I've been so many sizes today, I'm all confused." "What size do you want to be?" asked the caterpillar. "I'd like to be a little larger, sir," Alice said. 3 inches is such a wretched height to be." "It's a very good height indeed," said the caterpillar angrily. It was exactly 3 inches high. It got down off the mushroom and crawled away, saying as it went, "One side of the mushroom will make you grow taller, and the other side will make you grow shorter." Picture 2. Alice broke off a piece of mushroom in each hand, and by carefully nibbling first one bit and then the other, and growing first shorter and then taller, regained her usual height. She started again for the garden, but came to a small house about 4 feet high. "It will never do to come upon them this size," she said, and by nibbling the mushroom shrank to 9 inches. Picture 3. Alice entered the kitchen, where a duchess was nursing a baby, and the cook stirred a cauldron of soup. The air was so full of pepper that only the cook and a large cat, which sat grinning from ear to ear, were not sneezing. "Please tell me," said Alice, "why your cat grins so?" "It's a Cheshire cat," said the duchess. "That's why." As she spoke, the cook began throwing everything within reach at her. She ignored it, and the baby was already howling, so it was impossible to tell if it were being hurt. The duchess flung the baby to Alice to hold while she got ready to play croquet with the queen. Picture 4. Alice took the baby outside, where it turned into a pig and trotted away. She saw the Cheshire cat sitting in a tree and asked it for directions. "In that direction," said the cat, waving one paw, "lives a hatter, and in that direction," waving the other paw, "lives a March hare. Visit either you like, they're both mad." She did not want to go among mad people, but the cat assured Alice that everyone here is mad. "I'm mad," he explained. "You grant that a dog's not mad?" "Well, a dog growls when it's angry and wags its tail when pleased. I growl when I'm pleased and wag my tail when I'm angry. Therefore I'm mad." "I call it purring, not growling," said Alice, to which the cat replied that she could call it what she liked. "You'll see me at the Queen's croquet game," it said, and vanished, starting with the end of the tail and ending with the grin, which remained for some time after the rest was gone. Picture 5. In front of the March Hare's house was a table. The March Hare and the Hatter were having tea. A dormouse sat between them, fast asleep. The table was large, but they were all crowded into one corner. When they saw Alice coming, they cried, "No room! No room!" "There's plenty of room," said Alice indignantly, and sat down in a large armchair at one end of the table. Picture 6. "What day of the month is it?" asked the Hatter, taking his watch out and shaking it, then looking at it. Alice considered a little and said, "The 4th. "2 days wrong," sighed the Hatter. "I told you butter wouldn't suit the works." "It was the best butter," replied the March Hare meekly. He looked at the watch and dipped it into his tea. "I was singing a song at the Queen's concert," the Hatter said gloomily, "when she bawled me out." He's muttering the time. "Since then, time won't do a thing I ask. It's always tea time, and we've no time to wash the dishes in between whiles." Picture 7. "I want a clean cup," said the Hatter. So they all moved one place farther on. He was the only one who got a clean place, and Alice was worse off, for the March Hare had upset the milk jug in his plate. "This is the stupidest tea party I was ever at," said Alice, and she left in disgust. They were too busy trying to put the dormouse into the teapot to even notice that she had decided the party was over. As far as she was concerned, Alice saw a tree with a door. Hesitating for only a moment and taking a quick look around her, she opened it and went in. VIEW-MASTER Reel 3. The Croquet Game and Trial. Picture 1. At last, Alice was in the beautiful garden. Nearby, 3 gardeners were painting the white roses on a rose tree red. One of the gardeners explained that the tree should have been a red one, and if the Queen found out we made a mistake, we would have our hands cut off, so before she comes. Suddenly there was a cry of "The Queen!" and the 3 gardeners threw themselves flat on their faces. Picture 2. It was a royal procession, soldiers, guests, and even the white rabbit. Last of all came the King and Queen of Hearts. They all stopped and looked at Alice, who thought, "Why, they're only a pack of cards. I needn't be afraid of them." When the Queen asked Alice about the gardeners, Alice replied, "How should I know? It's not my business." Furious, the Queen screamed, "Off with her head!" But Alice said loudly, "Nonsense!" and the Queen was silent. "I see," said the Queen as she examined the roses and then looked at the gardeners. "Off with their heads!" she ordered, and the procession moved on. "Can you play croquet? Then come on," she shouted at Alice, and Alice joined them. Picture 3. Alice had never played such a curious game of croquet before. The balls were live hedgehogs, and the mallets large flamingos. The soldiers doubled themselves up to make the arcs. The players quarreled constantly, while the Queen stamped about shouting, "Off with his head! Off with her head!" This made Alice dreadfully uneasy, and she was glad to see the Cheshire Cat's grin appear. Picture 4. The King came up and looked curiously at the cat's head, which was all that had appeared, and said decidedly, "I don't like the looks of it. It must be removed." He called the Queen, who said, "Off with his head," and this started an argument. The executioner said, "You couldn't cut off a head unless there was a body." The King argued that anything with a head could be beheaded, and the Queen said, that unless something was done, everybody would be executed. At this, the cat's head faded away, and the king and executioner ran up and down looking for it. Picture 5. The game had just begun again, when a cry of "The trial's beginning" was heard in the distance. Everyone started running, and when Alice asked questions, they only ran the faster. The king and queen were seated on their throne when they arrived, and the knave was standing before them in chains. On a table was a dish of tarts. The white rabbit blew on a trumpet and read the accusation. The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts, all on a summer day. The Knave of Hearts, he stole those tarts and took them quite away. Now Alice felt a curious sensation which puzzled her until she realized she was beginning to grow again. "Call the first witness," said the king, and to her great surprise, the rabbit called out Alice. Picture 6. "Here!" cried Alice, tipping over the jury box as she jumped up. She hastily picked up the jurors. The king read aloud from a notebook. "Rule 42. All persons more than a mile high to leave the court." Everybody looked at Alice. "I shan't go," she said. The king turned pale and shut his notebook hastily. "Consider your verdict," he said to the jury. Picture 7. "No," said the queen. "Sentence first, verdict afterward." "Stuff and nonsense," said Alice loudly. "The idea of having the sentence first." "Off with her head," cried the queen. But Alice, who had grown to her full size now, answered, "Who cares for you? You're only a pack of cards." The whole pack rose up and came flying down on her. She gave a little scream and woke up to find herself lying on the ground, brushing away some leaves that had fluttered down on her face. It had all been a curious dream. We want to add new videos every day, so please subscribe to our channel.
And if you had fun, thumbs up.